What if I told you that banks held the key to addressing our societal challenges? Excitement? Skepticism? You can imagine the look on people's faces when, in the course of ritual introductions, in answer to the question, "What do you do?" I say, "I work for a major commercial bank." Indeed, banks are the least trusted institutions in the world, second only to the media. But hear me out. Every day, millions of people go to banks to get much-needed finance to grow their small businesses, to create new social enterprises, and to invest in the most important thing most people will ever own, their homes. Did you know that the origins of modern banking come from the city-states of northern Italy? And indeed, the oldest continuously operating bank in the world, the Banca Monte dei Paschi di Siena, was founded in 1472 to provide access to capital to the city's poor. At the heart of most business management theories is the idea that businesses are only successful and enduring if they fill a gap, if they meet customer needs. Well, as a society, we have a lot of needs. So what if we could harness the power of business to actually address those challenges, meet those needs? Well, that's the thinking behind the concept of shared value, a concept coined by Michael Porter and Mark Kramer, two business strategy gurus, that suggests that businesses can and should create business value while also creating societal value. It's really quite a simple concept. In fact, it turns traditional corporate social responsibility on its head. Because instead of businesses focusing on generating revenue to then be able to distribute a portion of that towards worthwhile endeavors, you're actually harnessing the core capabilities of business and focusing those on addressing our challenges. So how does a bank, using the lens of shared value, address societal challenges? Let's take an example. How do we feed a growing world population set to reach 9.6 billion people by 2050, while at the same time dealing with declining availability of arable land, less land globally, water scarcity, and climate variability as a result of climate change? That's a really big challenge. Now, I mentioned I work for a bank, the National Australia Bank, NAB. NAB is the largest agribusiness bank in Australia, with roughly 1 in 3 farmers choosing to bank with us. NAB's also been in agribusiness, serving customers for 155 years. Now, this should be self-evident, but if we're to continue to be successful well into the future, we need our customers to be successful as well. So for farmers need to be able to manage environmental risks, things like managing for water scarcity, creating new solutions to energy problems, and investing in the long-term health of their soils. Because if they don't manage their risks well, let me say that one more time, risks well, including environmental risks, well, they're not going to be around in the medium to long term. And the simple fact of it is, we all depend on farmers. So how do we do this? A healthy economy depends on a healthy environment. But we don't have a great track record in protecting the environment as a society. There's many challenges. We treat the environment as an externality because it's hard to understand. It's incredibly complex, the interactions. There's a challenge of direct causality. So who benefits from investing in biodiversity and ecosystem services is different from who pays the costs. The time horizons are also different. Environmental changes take place over a much longer time horizon than our attention spans, than our election cycles. So we need to be bringing the environment into business to make it tangible, to make it visible. One way to do this is through the lens of natural capital. Natural capital is just everything that nature provides to us, but understood in terms of a resource, as a valuable input into business processes. Just like financial capital manufactured capital, or even social capital. Framed in this way, it's made visible into businesses as something that's worth investing in. We need to be able to measure the seemingly unmeasurable, because at the end of the day, the old saying, "You can only manage what you measure," is true. Okay. But how then do we go about valuing the air that we breathe or the contribution of the water that we drink? Let's take a few examples. Melbourne's water. The city of Melbourne has amazing quality drinking water. That water comes from heavily forested catchments. Now, those forests provide a natural water filtration service. If we cut down those forests, not only would we lose that filtration service and a whole bunch of habitat protection, the aesthetic value of the forests themselves, we'd actually, as taxpayers, have to be paying $500 million to $1 billion for a new water treatment plant, and multiple millions of dollars after that. I would sooner protect the forests, enjoy the natural water filtration service, and not pay higher taxes. What would you prefer? Or let's take another example. The Great Barrier Reef, one of the 7 wonders of the natural world, and the only living thing visible from space. The total value-added economic contribution of the Great Barrier Reef to the Australian economy in 2012 was $5.7 billion. Now that's a large number, but that only includes the ecosystem services for which there are direct markets: tourism, recreation, commercial fisheries. If we were to actually calculate the total value of the ecosystem services, all the ecosystem services like carbon storage, storm protection, water quality control, waste assimilation, that number would be much, much bigger. In fact, scientists have done some experiments to try to get an understanding of the total value of ecosystem services to our economy. And in 2011, a group of scientists calculated that the total value of ecosystem services to the global economy was $125 trillion per year in 2007 dollars. $125 trillion a year. Now that's a big figure to get your head around. It's harder to figure out how you make decisions off the back of that. But what it does tell us is that we are grossly underestimating the contribution of nature to our economy. We need to be able to bring nature into our decision-making structures. Now, I want to stress a couple of things. One, I'm not suggesting that everything in nature should have a price tag attached to it or be traded in an open market. We just need to be able to understand the contribution that it brings and appreciate and respect it. Yeah. We'll go to that in a minute. So how does a bank take the concept of natural capital and bring it into our own business decision-making frameworks? Well, the first thing we do is to understand what our customers are already doing and thinking about this. So we learned some very interesting things. The first, 86% of our customers were concerned about soil health, closely followed by rising energy costs and water scarcity. 74% of our customers had already made changes to their business as a result of natural resource sustainability. We also found some amazing examples of innovation and leadership from our customers. People like Ian and Marion McLaughlin, who have a business on the Atherton Tablelands. Now, the Skyberry is a business that grows papaya, bananas, and coffee. And they run this incredibly successful business all while ensuring that the water that comes off of their property at the end of the day has nitrogen levels in it that are less than that of a rainforest. Now, this is important because it's estimated that 50% of coral loss in the Great Barrier Reef is due to agricultural runoff. So if Ian and Marion McLaughlin can actually have that kind of success with lower nitrogen levels than a rainforest, then other people can as well. So how do we celebrate and recognize and incentivize that kind of best practice? Case study after case study, we know that good management of natural capital leads to higher productivity, reduced input costs, and greater resilience, the ability to bounce back after shocks. So grains farmers who have good management of natural capital, strong soils, they get crops even in drought years. Or cattle gain condition during dry years under good natural management regimes. So the first thing we learned was that farmers understand the importance of natural capital, and we needed, as a bank, to catch up to them. The second thing we did was to build the capability of our bankers to understand natural capital risks and look for opportunities and support customers where they wanted to make these kinds of investments. The third thing was to design products and services so that it could be made easy to invest in new business models, but also natural capital base. So for example, we recently launched an asset finance product that makes it easy to invest in energy efficiency and renewable energy activities. The fourth thing we did was to work with universities, industry associations, as well as capacity building organizations to understand what tools were already out there to help farmers, but also to figure out what indicators we needed to use to track the performance of natural capital over time, and to look at the link between good management of natural capital and financial performance over time. Because at the heart of it, the only way that we're going to be able to bring natural capital into the core of our banking operations is to be able to show that it's better for business. That way we can bring it into our credit risk decision-making structures. And we've made commitments to bring natural capital into our lending decisions within the next 3 to 5 years. So that if a farmer is managing their natural capital well, all else being equal, well, that's a lower risk. It's a lower risk to them, but it's a lower risk to us as well. And that should translate into lower interest rates. Now, this provides a powerful ongoing incentive to invest in biodiversity and ecosystem services. And this is how a bank, through the lens of shared value, can protect biodiversity ecosystem services that underpin the ability of agribusiness to feed a growing world population. Shared value can be applied to almost any societal challenge. All it takes is the willingness to see opportunities where others see challenges. The courage to reimagine what is possible. Thank you.